video. He occupies like 5% of the screen, like the camera is pointed almost straight up, and he's coming in at the very bottom like fucking skibbity toilet here. I don't know why he wouldn't just put himself in the center. Now, the best breakdown of all of this comes from a website called GamePressure.com. This is the best one I found. And according to them, Piorkowski, our protagonist gooner here, has claimed that although visits to the sauna were indeed obligatory, there was neither a requirement to be naked in the sauna nor to be in it with the boss. But as mentioned in the article, it seems that nudity is unavoidable considering it's a fucking sauna, and that's kind of the norm when going to saunas, I suppose. I mean, you could probably take one look at me and probably speculate and accurately guess that I'm not a sauna enthusiast. I don't frequent the sauna. I live in Florida. Going outside, I get that exact same fucking experience. So I'm just going to take their word that nudity is pretty common in saunas. And when I was going over this on stream, that's what stream was saying as well. So even though he's not requiring a goatsy or like a nipple inspection or something to ensure all of the employees are naked in the sauna, it is still implied by going to the sauna. At least that's my understanding of it. Now, the statement about it's also not required to be in it with your boss, I suppose he's also kind of right on, but you still accompany your narrative girls to the sauna. Like, that is clear. Like, that is actually stated. So even if it's not put like pinned to paper that it's a requirement to be in it with the boss, you have still been going. Like, you have still gone. So that's kind of a moot point if you ask me. The article continued to explain what the project even is that requires the sauna experience in order to be the fucking preeminent expert on it. So it's called Project Temple, a game about a young woman with a broken heart who starts trying to become a sauna master. That's such a fucking weird concept for a game. Like, how do you even make something interesting out of that? Like, striving to be a sauna master? Like, this isn't fucking Pokemon. You're not gonna be like collecting gym badges like a Pokemon master. To me, that sounds like a fucking snooze fest. I'm just gonna be upfront with you here, sports fans. Like, I can't even imagine what the gameplay loop would be. Like, choosing the right rocks to put on the sauna stove, choosing the correct aromatic oils to fill the atmosphere with. Like, what do you even do with that? I imagine it's going to be the only story. Like, maybe it's a visual novel, perhaps. I don't know. If I'm being totally honest here, if I had to spitball a guess, I really feel like this whole thing from the very start was designed as some kind of evil plot from Jacek to force women to go to a sauna with him. That's really what I think. I feel like that's the whole purpose behind this project in his eyes. Anyway, going forward, we require going to the sauna as part of getting to know the environment and research. We also hold company meetings during sauna trips. That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds fucking miserable. Mandatory sauna trips with your boss and coworkers? Like, come on. Like, Jesus Christ. However, there's no obligation to be naked in the sauna or to be in it with the boss. If someone prefers to only attend women-only sessions or use the sauna individually and come to meetings just to chat, that's also fine. As the rules of proper sauna use say, in a dry sauna with a towel or naked, in a steam sauna only naked, there is 90% humidity there. You can't cheat physics. At the company meeting, the girls were doing peeling themselves. I don't care. I wanted them to understand what kind of emotions we create. Original brief. The protagonist of Project Temple is Birdie, a woman in her 20s/30s. She had her heart broken recently and she is moving to Warsaw to find herself again. What a pretentious explanation for this absolutely ridiculous requirement of your employees. The emotions that you create in the sauna, you need the first-hand experience to write about them, huh? The only emotion that's being created there is the fucking boss, Jacek here, getting cum brain. Like, that's it. Like, giggling to himself while doing this with his hands. Finally, I get to see naked women in person, and they can't say no, because I put it in the contract. It just sounds so degenerate and weird. The article makes a mention there at the end, like, so this is the explanation for why they have to go to the sauna, because they need the experience to write about it. And the article says, one might wonder if a developer creating a military shooter should expect their employees to, like, enlist in the army in order to get the experience of it. And the answer is a resounding, of course not. Fucking no. Like, you don't need to be going to, like, frequent sauna sessions with your coworkers in order to write about a sauna. Everyone knows what you're going to experience in there. Hot, sweaty. And now you can write about everything outside of that and all the emotional bits. Like, you don't need to actually be there physically in person in the sauna with your creepy boss diddling his skin flute in the corner while you're writing about the Sauna Master game. There's also an allegation that came out here I hadn't heard of till reading this article, where apparently there's another scandal here involving the head of Spectrum Studios, where he's been accused of deliberately looking for people in a, quote, difficult situation because it might be more likely to wave red flags. And another individual named Natalia Wilzinska, I'm sure I absolutely ate shit on that pronunciation, also claimed that Jacek was lurking in artist groups on Facebook asking for samples of work with naked figures, and even posted some of the screenshots onto Twitter. Another really weird component about this is that Magda name that he dropped in one of the screenshots is someone named Magdalena Kuzinti. I know I butchered that pronunciation again, I'm sorry. And apparently candidates were instructed to contact them regarding the recruitment task, but Magdalena doesn't work at the studio at all. So it turns out Jacek was one of her students in a narrative design course, and it was during the classes that Magdalena gave him advice on the project. And furthermore, I'll just read directly, Jacek directed interested individuals to her, even though she'd not yet replied to his request on the manner, since she apparently doesn't use social media. And now she has come forward about all of this, saying like, what the fuck? She goes on to explain that Jacek was just using her last name without her permission, without her being like an employee of his or anything like that. She's another person who's been harmed in this matter. This whole thing is so fucking weird. Jacek sounds like an extremely creepy individual, and I don't know how this kind of requirement to work there isn't like an illegal practice, to say that your employees have to go to these sauna sessions. But yeah, I just had to talk about this a little bit. It's so fucking weird. That's really about it. So yeah.
U.S. Army advertisement, you can make him the star of the biggest franchise, cinematic franchise in the history of Earth. Then you put him in an Oscar film as well. I mean, this guy's like supposed to be world famous. They're clearly setting him up to be a Denzel, Will Smith, whatever. You take the out the hood. You can't take the hood out the identify with any of those things. But people say, oh, well, he was a globalist. He was this universalist. He wanted the whole... Well, that's not quite true. He was making Germany great again in his own special way, in a more classical way, making the German nation, if the German nation is considered as the German peoples, he was making that German nation great again. The reason people don't want to talk about that, the reason people can't embrace that, which is common sense and moral, is because people associate it with a little guy named Adolf Hitler. Anytime you bring up ethnic nationalism, white nationalism, white identity, yeah, who do you think of? Adolf Hitler, the bad man that killed all those people. Well, you know, I don't know, maybe it's a good idea that America should be white, but also by the same token, that sounds like the bad guy. That sounds like the guy that I was taught, you know, from cradle to grave, that was the most evil person. You know, there can be no recourse about that. There can be no debate about that. I might say that's deliberate. Some might say that's deliberate. You might start to wonder, why is it illegal to question certain things in Europe? Why is it basically illegal to have a contrary opinion? How about those 200 to 300,000 Jews that he mercilessly wiped off the face of the planet and we will never get back? How about those people? Makes me sick. It makes me sick when people lie about the most evil man in history. No, but in all seriousness, that's a joke, of course. That's a joke. We know that the number was closer probably to at least 1 billion. But no, of course, why do I just punish myself? I just do this to myself. But I do it for you, the people, because it is funny. But in all, I'm a misogynist, and I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be born. I've never touched a woman in my life. I'm stone cold to somebody. Yeah, well, I don't even want it. So, I don't want touch. I don't want a relationship. You know what I want? Total Aryan victory. That's all I want. I didn't choose that. All I want is revenge against my enemies and a total Aryan victory. Hugs and kisses, touch, sappy stuff, hand-holding, please. All I want is revenge and an Aryan victory for my people.
Nick Fuentes. So that should give everybody as much of a look as you really need into Nick Fuentes. But I want to go and see if I can find real quick. No, here it is. This is the other good clip. Good being a relative term here, but this really gives an idea about what Nick is about.
No, bitch. I want to drink it straight from the tap. I want it raw. I don't want to wait a moment. Right when the milk is good, I want to start drinking the milk. Same thing goes with women. I don't want to turn 30 and find some 20-year-old, 29-year-old woman that I have something in common with, and it's like, hey, properly aged, like wine. Women don't age like wine, they age like milk. They don't age like wine. That's not how their hormones work. That's not how they work. Yeah, I gotta find my 16-year-old wife. Probably when I turn 30 or something. Because here's the thing, I don't want to be like, let's say I get married to a 18-year-old now. 6-year age difference. When I turn 40, she's going to be 34. What if I'm 30 and she's 16? 14-year age difference. When I'm 50, she'll be 36. When I'm 40, she'll be 26. Then now we're talking here. Now we're cooking with gas. Now you can see an alternative vision for how things could be. I want a 16-year-old that's untouched, pristine, untouched, uncorrupted, innocent. That's what we all want. And all 16-year-olds want an older guy who's like capable and strong and everything to sweep them off their feet. That's what everybody wants.
Should be noted, Nick is famously an incel. By his attesting, which I don't believe him, I think he has had sex with boys. But hammers. Just all the hammers. What else can you say? This man, hammers. No, he doesn't say psych. He believes that shit. This is what he sincerely believes, right? So we're gonna go through, and I want you to notice when people talk about. Let me show the Sneeko thing really quick, because Sneeko and Nick were not leaving the premises when they were starting to get ousted. And that was how Sneeko lost a tooth. That was how Sneeko lost his tooth. Now that we've talked a bit and we know who Nick Fuentes is, right? We talked about how he used. So Nick really tries to keep everything on the DL, on the down low. Like because they are open Nazis, and everybody knows this. And you can point to any number of news media articles and send them to any event venue organizer, owner, anything, and they'll be like, oh no, we don't want these people here because they bring violence and hatred wherever they go. We do not want to be associated with them. So because of that, we'll find out here. I'll go to Amanda Moore's Twitter in a second. What they did was they essentially used a proxy service to organize their event. They did not speak person to person, Fuentes or his management, to anybody else. They used another event organizer to put their event on at the venue, so that the venue didn't know who was actually like really going to be there until they did, and they decided to cancel it, which left, as we'll read here, Nick and his Groiper Nazi buddies on the street. From Detroit Free Press, the leader of a controversial right-wing group canceled their conference in Detroit, alleging they were kicked out of the Russell Industrial Center, where they said they had plans to hold events. The move comes after Detroit police had responded to a dispute involving the group on Friday. Nicholas Fuentes of the America First Political Action Conference said Saturday on social media that the group was setting up the stage on Friday. Fuentes said they had a contract for the venue, but an official with the Russell Industrial Center said they were tricked by the group and never had any contact directly with Fuentes or AFPAC. The center was working with a third party, quote, a local and reputable production company that does large-scale corporate events for other reputable companies. The spokesman said they would never accepted such an event if they had known what they promote. Like, they straight up, as much as they want to say, because we'll go into some of Nick Fuentes' comments and stuff, and his stupid people in his comments, the Groipers and everything, talking about they tried to spin this as a victory, right? And the way that they do that is they say, okay, well, obviously, you know, it's the QAnon thing. It's like, oh, well, why would people try and stop us from speaking the truth? Because they know that we're over the target. It's because actually we're getting very close to the mark. And so you'll see if you go into Nick Fuentes' comments on Twitter, because he's been reinstated. Thank you, Elon, for reinstating explicit neo-Nazis. Good job. If you go into Nick Fuentes' comments, you have a lot of people praising him and saying, this is how you know things are really controlled by the Jews. But if they hadn't been shut out, they would still be saying the exact same thing. So like any development that happens to them, straight up, will just reaffirm that. Like it's not actually like a genuine confirmation, even to them. I feel like they know that. Like at some level, not all of them, but some of them have to know that. Blue Heartless, is this allowed, like lying to get into places? I think it's probably like a gray area that the event was not happy with, because as we read here, quote, the event was canceled due to fraudulent, knowing misinterpretation of the true nature of the event by the production company for their client, and our concern of safety for our facility, employees, tenants, and surrounding communities. A spokesman for the Russell Industrial Center told the Free Press in a statement. This is my favorite part. Quote, the amount of hate mail we received and terrible things being said towards us by the AFPAC following is disturbing and only affirms our decision as the right one. Like, so I guarantee they were sending like death threats and shit. I guarantee they were sending like death threats. Like, not a doubt in my mind. Fuentes has been described by some groups who monitor hate groups as a white nationalist who promotes racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic views. Would we say that, chat, after what we just watched? Would we say that's pretty accurate? I think that's pretty accurate. The spokesman for the Russell Industrial Center said it's a performance and arts complex, not a political rally hall. We never have and will knowingly accept those kind of events and believe it is a gross misuse of our space. We do not politically affiliate with any group or party. It baffles me why they chose our venue for such an event. Probably because it was the only one they could get into. That is probably it. I am willing to bet after the last couple times, like Holiday Inn, Hilton, actual convention centers aren't going to fucking want them to deal with them. Before the event, quote, we were told when booking the event that it was a private, high-class corporate event with a seated dinner and some keynote speakers. So that is a fucking lie. Like, yeah, they are straight up lying to get into this place. The production company also had us downsize our normal security protocols as they kept ensuring us this is the wrong use of ensuring. It should be EN. Ensuring us this was a corporate event with all professional corporate attendees. Fuentes posted a photo on X of what appeared to be himself inside the center on Friday with some police officers near him. Yesterday, we finished setting up our stage and the event and then the venue called the cops to kick us out 24 hours before the event. Fuentes said on X, quote, it could have been our biggest yet with 2,000 attendees. And yeah, it would have been the biggest. They have sold out, as I talked about it before. They had tickets up to like $20,000. Like all expense pass tickets to this event. 20 people paid 20 grand. And that was just for the ticket. That's not even like travel costs. Here's the connection. Because oh yeah, Nick Fuentes, he's such a rogue renegade. He's so big and tough, and he's such a rogue independent Sigma that he always has to ride somebody else's fucking coattails. Always. Fuentes often holds his conferences near the location of more mainstream conservative conferences, said an official with the Southern Poverty Law Center. This weekend, Turning Point Action, led by Charlie Kirk, is holding a conference at Huntington Palace in Detroit, where former President Trump spoke Saturday. Fuentes showed up at the Huntington Palace on Friday before being escorted out by security, the social media post show. He then gave some remarks outside the center against Israel, criticizing their actions against Palestinians and attacking Turning Point for being pro-Israel. We've talked about it in the chat, and I talked about it in my video on anti-Semitism. There is a massive difference, and Ted Cruz tried to spin this as Democrats, when David Duke came out in support of Nick Fuentes here, because David Duke is like the leader of the Klan, like he's a fucking racist piece of shit. Ted Cruz tried to twist it as, because David Duke, he's condemning people who are pro-Israel, so therefore he's condemning, or he's siding with the Democrats who are pro-Palestine, when in actuality, David Duke was praising Nick Fuentes, who had dinner with Trump, the same person who Ted Cruz endorsed for president, so it's really not really meshing there. But when these people say down with Israel, they don't mean solidarity for Palestinians. There is a massive gulf between the way that these words are construed. These people mean that all Jews should die. These people have deep-seated beliefs, and you can hear Nick Fuentes talk about them, that Jews are a forbidden people, that there is something intrinsically wrong with them. Of course, racist, bigoted nonsense. That is massively different than the broad left wing, not liberal, because I would say a lot of libs support Israel over Palestine by Israeli propaganda, but the left-leaning pro-Palestine supporters who actually give a fuck about the innocents being slaughtered by a genocidal government. Two very different approaches, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, if tomorrow, Nick Fuentes woke up, all the Groypers woke up, and they got their wish. Israel wiped from the face of the planet. Do you know who's next? Muslims and Palestinians. To them, they are just a different shade of brown. To the racists, they are just a different shade of inferior. Like, there is no difference to them. Aside from what they can currently use in the cultural zeitgeist as a wedge issue to spew their noxious hatred. We've seen that on Twitter. We've seen it with accounts like that fucking fake doctor account, Dr. Loomis. God, what's her name? We've seen it with a couple of the Marvel Statue Abbey accounts who spread these ideas. With Jackson Hinkle is another one, where they are using this war, a genocidal campaign against the Palestinians. They are using it as a way to wedge their racism in there. Somebody will say, hey, I think Palestinians shouldn't be murdered for not doing anything. That's kind of fucked up, Israel. And they will tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, did you know that Jews actually control Hollywood and the media? And of course, because this is the internet, the dipshit on Twitter will go down a rabbit hole of information just drip fed to them from these right-wing accounts, specifically meant to funnel them down this ideology. So don't let anybody ever tell you that, oh, well, Nick Fuentes, he just wants us to not be as involved with Israel. Yeah, so does the left. Nick Fuentes actually wants every Jewish person to die. Trump dinner guest says perfidious Jews should be executed. America First hate leader Nick Fuentes called for those suppressing Christianity to be absolutely annihilated in recent live stream. When we take power, they need to be given the death penalty straight up. He has said what he means. He has said it out in the open. People have a record of this. Have these facts on hand. They're easily verifiable. So if you ever encounter somebody who says, well, I don't know, the Nick Fuentes is saying some stuff that makes sense, because the way that he says it in public is different than how he says it in private. In public, it's just about, oh, we were just promoting nationalism, and America is a great country, and we shouldn't be involved in foreign wars. In private, it is those people are the synagogue of Satan. That there is something wrong in their DNA inherently. That some races are better than others, and that some people deserve to die because of it. He won't say that shit out here in the air, because he knows this is like when he goes on Alex Jones's show. He's been on the Alex Jones show a lot recently. And when he goes on Alex Jones's show, he won't fucking say any of this shit. Because despite what all the groypers want to pretend Nick is, he is not anything more than a massive pussy. He doesn't say anything with his full chest. He is a coward. But that is why he's not. You understand? He's like, this is gonna kick it. I'm sure some people know here. Transformers Prime, right? Like, what I get, and he's like Starscream broadly in that way. There's no real Megatron. But in Transformers Prime, it's one of the best kind of representations of that type of character. Because he is constantly just this wormy, whiny little bitch who is always conniving, always has some kind of plan, is always placating the person in power nearest to him so that he can use them to get more power. And we've seen him do that multiple times. We've seen him do that with Kanye West. He does it with Alex Jones. He does it with Donald Trump. We've seen him do it with fucking Jake Shields and Sneeko. Like, this is somebody who believes that black people are inherently inferior to white people. He has said as much. He said, we just saw him in a video say, you can take an N-word out the hood. You can't take the hood out the N-word. And I censored it, but that was a hard ER, by the way. So you can't tell me that he actually believes that Kanye West is like an equal to him. No. But the entire time he knew that Kanye West is one of the biggest stars in the world. just gave him a bigger platform to talk. Yeah, Kanye has his full of followers, but he's kind of in a dark bubble. I mean, here's the problem with Kanye, though, is that Kanye has a bunch of people who still listen to his music, who still will say, because he is such, Kanye is one of the, might be completely insane. That doesn't take away from the fact that Kanye West is one of the biggest, most recognizable names in music in the world. And Nick Fuentes knows that. He uses that to his advantage. That is the kind of conniving, manipulative person he is. This fucking account seems like a goddamn psyop. Lady Justice, Lady for Gazans. Zionism is Nazism. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. You are supporting an actual Nazi. The American people are rising up against their Zionist occupiers. That is a fucking dog whistle. That is saying that Jews control the government. Unfucking believable.
I'm here to tell you that Israel is not the king of the United States. God with Israel! God with Israel! Is the king of the United States of America!
So this is another point. When you hear about, because I'm sure people have said, I think Matt Walsh has said it, talked about how when it came out that Christ is King is now effectively, and this isn't like, Christ is King is something I heard all the time as a kid in church. There's not a 100% guarantee that when somebody says it, they're Nazis trying to spread Nazi propaganda. But it is now a Christo-fascist talking point because of people like Nick Fuentes. So when you see that shit, there is a high probability on Twitter and in online spaces, you're looking at an actual Nazi. And they are just using it, again, as another fucking dog whistle. Because all of these guys are pussies. They can't say anything but their chest. They are too fucking afraid of the actual consequences. Here's a friend of the show, Amanda Moore at No Turtle Soup. You love to see it. She was there covering all of this. This is a far leftist who I think played a role in getting AFPAC canceled. When I don't know when Nick got the news, but the timestamp/posts are interesting. Imagine bragging about shutting down an event that people took time off and spent money to travel to. People who can't debate you will silence you. When they're Nazis, I feel like that's the morally correct thing to do. Y'all have been silent. Sneeko lost a tooth. By my account, 2,000 Nazis missing out on their little dinner date, wasting money to travel hundreds or thousands of miles, and only ending up sitting on a fucking street corner to hear somebody yell into the wind through a megaphone. I'm sorry, that's peak. That's a win. I see this as an absolute win, to quote the memes.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is simply not a day that goes by where I don't have to see some absolute just garbage takes when it comes to XDEFIANT. But boy, oh boy, when I tell you I found the all-time most insane post I think I've ever seen, I really do mean it. And from Tom Henderson, out of all people, I didn't really expect this from Tom Henderson, but he went ahead and tweeted it out, so we have to go ahead and discuss it. But ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell. We are actually, like 100? No. I'm sorry. I think it's 150 subs away from 48,000 on this channel. Do you understand how freaking insane that is? Of course, all the support means the world to me. And again, if you are interested in more content just like this with XDEFIANT or even Black Ops 6, subscribe and hit that bell. And if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I will be live today over on Twitch between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I saw a post from Tom Henderson over on Twitter. And again, I can understand partially where he's coming from, and I can understand others that might share a similar opinion. But I have to share my side to this as well. But he said, XDEFIANT was fun for the first 2 weeks, but they have ruined that game by pushing it out the door without any form of progression and rewards. Everything being promised now is Season 2 at the earliest. So that's what, 6 months from now? Disappointing, but predictable. Now, I think what he's hinting at is maybe the, weapon progression, all that stuff. I'm still pretty positive we're going to see some ranking system within, Season 1. Obviously, the content drops are going to be coming within Season 1, a map per season. We're still going to be getting weapons. I think he's mainly just either talking about either A, the prestige system, which I'm not sure. Like I said, I think that's coming in Season 1, but correct me if I'm wrong, and B, the weapon progression, which is going to be worked on over the course of months and months and months until it's obviously perfected, I guess, for Season 2. And guys, I just, honestly, before I even describe it, I saw an amazing response, which I'm going to read off here by JGRCSR. What about just enjoying a game for what it is? And Tom Henderson responded saying, I did for 2 weeks. Where JG responds saying, well, you just don't enjoy the game enough to keep playing then. And that's absolutely fine. I just don't understand the need for something to grind for to keep yourself engaged with the video game. And again, Tom Henderson responds saying probably because it's essentially a beta, which would be considered long if it was 2 weeks anyway. And guys, the final comment here is perfect because, it says, you're missing his point. He's saying you don't appear to actually like the game if you're asking for superficial non-gameplay reasons to play. And this right here is the nail in the coffin in my personal opinion. And trust me, I know not a lot of people are going to agree with me on this one, and probably a lot of you might even agree with Tom Henderson here, that not having many grinds makes the game boring. But I completely agree with these takes because it's the truth. It's simply the truth. If you enjoy the game for what it is, you don't need anything insane to grind. You could be patient enough, right? We've already been patient for years for this game to drop. I don't think, having a few more months ahead of us is going to be that big of a problem because we can actually enjoy the title. We can actually play it now. We can actually have fun with the gameplay. Yes, there's minor, tweaks and changes that have to still be made to the netcode and hit detection, but it's definitely improving over time. Within the first 2 updates, the netcode feels tremendously better, and I can only imagine how it's going to feel within the next upcoming 2 updates. It's just going to get better and better and better. And I personally don't see, the purpose to say that this game is done because it doesn't have anything to grind for. I agree. You just simply don't like the title itself. And that's completely fair. 1010% that's fair. But I gotta be honest, I just don't understand where Tom Henderson is coming from saying that the game is ruined because of this. Yeah, it might be annoying. It might be a bummer. But ruined? It's ruined because it doesn't have any extra progression systems to keep you interested in the game? I'm going to be honest, that's not what games should rely on. Some of my favorite games I play for the gameplay itself, right? Like CSGO, for example, or Valorant. Yes, people hop into those experiences for the ranked, experience. So be it. But a lot of people play those games because they love the gameplay. They love CSGO and Valorant. They like that style. Same thing with Rainbow Six Siege. Again, yeah, you might play for ranked, but again, people like Rainbow Six Siege simply because it's a Rainbow Six Siege, the gameplay it has to offer. Even think of other games like Insurgency Sandstorm. What is there to grind really in that game? But it still gets an active player base, and it might not be the most popular game out there. It might not be pulling in hundreds of thousands of people every single month, but it's still people playing it. It's still people enjoying the overall experience because they simply like the game. Yes, content and progression is a nice addition, but it's not the end-all be-all if it's not, introduced right away. It's either you like the game or you don't like the game. And I'm sorry, but this is the harsh truth. If you can't play this game without having progression, you're not going to be around when Black Ops 6 drops. You're not going to be around when any other competitor drops. You're just going to ditch the game for something else if you truthfully need progression to keep you active within XDefiant. Again, it's just the harsh truth. And I'm not saying, you can't hate this game. If you hate this game, so be it. That's perfectly fine. I hate a lot of games out there. It's whatever. People have opinions. But, it's as simple as that. Either you like the game that is in front of you or you don't like it. Because if you really require to have systems to grind through in order to keep you active and interested, then, like I literally just said, you definitely don't enjoy the game enough to keep grinding through even when another title drops. I mean, even think of this example. GTA, one of the most popular games out there. But again, it doesn't thrive off of how much progression you have in the game. It thrives off of the gameplay itself. People hop into GTA 5 because it's a fun game. And then all the other progression on the side adds more to the mix, And they didn't have to introduce it at first. They could trickle it in more and more and more. But what they had to make sure was right up front is the gameplay. It has to be fun gameplay. Forget the freaking progression. The gameplay has to be fun. And forget about GTA 5. Because everybody's going to say, oh, it's such a packed game. So much stuff to grind. GTA 4. What the heck were you doing in GTA 4 besides just going to a free roam and goofing off? No progression. But guess what? It was freaking fun. It was a blast and still one of the most popular games in the world. That is the best example I could possibly think of. You don't need progression for the game to be good. And to say it's destroyed because they're not adding progression just proves you don't like the game. And again, like JG was saying, nothing wrong with that. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But the claim that, it's bad to have no progression at launch is just mind-boggling to me. And it just doesn't make much sense. But there was another response, too, that I think is really important to highlight here from Modern Warfare 2 OG in response to what Tom Henderson said, saying the mad part is, I saw people on Twitter daily crying for the game and saying, it needs to release now, not directed at you, etc. Not that I'm saying Mark was pressured to push it out early, but you see how the cookie crumbles. Gamers just want everything now, then complain when they get it that it's not enough. Really don't know where this spoiled brat mentality has come from. But there are so many games out at any given time, yet we're constantly whining and trying to rush other games out before they're even ready. And this post right here is facts, absolute facts. If you go back to any of my content, I am constantly preaching for these developers to take their time. And of course, I will say, I really want this game, I would love for them to just drop it already. But guess what? Every single time I said I would love for them to drop it, I knew it was going to be bad. I'm like, I would love for them to give it to me right now. Even if it's gunked up, all I want to do is just play the game because I like the game itself. I don't need anything else. I just like the game, right? And I've said that every single time, while at the same time saying, you know what? Patience is key. They can take their time and get it out there. But again, the whole community was coming at their necks, saying the game is garbage now. It's dead. It's pointless. It's useless. It's going to be horrible. All because they're taking their time in development. And these developers have to see this time and time and time and time and time again, including people saying, just drop it already. We don't care if it's a little buggy. We don't care if it doesn't have everything. We just want to play XDefiant. And then they drop it, and everybody is now apparently complaining that it's not enough progression in the game to enjoy. Get out of XDefiant. Get out of XDefiant. I am begging you. Black Ops 6 is right around the corner, and me, myself, personally, I'm going to play that. You guys know on this channel, I preach that both games, they don't need to destroy one another. They can easily live with one another and be successful 1,010%. When you're done the Black Ops 6 Battle Pass and you're tired of that game, XDefiant's here for you. They'll have a Battle Pass and constant content dropping every month. When you're done with the Battle Pass and XDefiant, there'll probably be a fresh one in Black Ops 6 for you to go ahead and grind. Like I said, they can coexist. They truthfully can. But a lot of these people don't want that to happen, and they make it extraordinarily obvious by just making these bold statements about failure and this game sucking and being horrible because of things like this. Like I said, if you don't like the game because of the gameplay, I understand. Totally makes sense. Because again, everybody is subject to their own opinion. But to claim that this game is going to flop and they're just devastating it right now because they don't have enough progression, it just doesn't seem logical to me. I mean, even thinking like people hop back to Black Ops 2 all the time, and guess what? They're not grinding through all this stuff. They don't care about it. They just want to do the unlock tool and unlock all and just get back into the gameplay because guess what? The game is fun. The game is freaking fun. Black Ops 2 has great mechanics, great flow, great shooting, and people just hop on because they want to do that. They're not sitting there focused on doing the camo grind again or doing any of the other stuff again. Again, that stuff is an addition. It's great to have that on top of what we already got within the game, the core game itself. But when people revisit it, they're not revisiting it to grind again. No, they're revisiting it because the game was fun. And that's what XDefiant is right now. Again, it just came out, and this game is supposed to be out for years. It's going to have plenty of stuff to grind, 1010%. But if you can't sit here and play this game and enjoy it for what it is, you're not going to be here when they finally have stuff to actually grind for. It's just as simple as that. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing to that bell. I post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And if you want to check out any of my other content, I stream pretty much daily over on Twitch. That stream goes live between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time, and you guys can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.
Well, it's been a little while since we had a truly jam-packed stack of news to get through regarding the world's richest and most annoying man. But yup, it's Elon time.
Oh, wow. It's been so long that I actually am looking forward to talking shit about this
No,
guy.
you're not.
Oh.
And no, I did not misspeak when I called Elon Musk the world's richest man, because folks, after months of begging his fans to just go and do it, Tesla shareholders did. They voted last Thursday, to reinstate Elon's pay package. You know, the one that the Delaware Court of Chancery last year took away from him, mostly due to matters of procedure, less to do with the fact that it's the biggest executive compensation package in U.S. corporate history. Tesla shareholders voted overwhelmingly to give this man his money, in spite of the fact that Tesla stock in recent years has been in pretty sharp decline, and the company's value has been cut nearly in half since its peak in 2021. And things are just really not looking like they're going to improve all that much in the near or distant future.
It did spike a little bit after this was announced, and then just has proceeded to fall.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Anyway, here's the New York Times.
Tesla shareholders decisively backed a proposal to affirm Elon Musk's multi-billion-dollar pay package, according to details of the vote released on Friday. The vote of confidence in Mr. Musk reduces the risk that he would leave Tesla, but may also validate behavior that some investors say has hurt the car maker, analysts and investors say. Passage of the proposal was announced at Tesla's annual shareholder meeting on Thursday, without the underlying total. In the end, about 72% of voting shares, excluding stock owned by Mr. Musk and his brother Kimball, backed the pay package. For months, many Tesla investors have worried about how engaged Elon Musk would be in running the electric car company after a judge in Delaware voided his pay package, originally approved in 2018. The compensation plan requires Mr. Musk to hold on to the shares for at least 5 years before selling them, and the value of the package will continue to fluctuate before he can do so. At Friday's closing price, the shares were worth about $47 billion.
I love the move of being like, I don't know, I might leave Tesla. No.
Oh, don't scare me with a good time.
He would never.
Yeah.
He would never leave Tesla.
Yeah. Also, I argue it would help the company.
Oh, no, it absolutely 100% would.
What do you mean they have a new car coming out that's not a Cybertruck?
I mean, you see this a lot in the startup world, but you have the startup CEO, and then you have the real CEO who comes in later, cleans up the act, and puts the company on the right track. Elon is the startup CEO in like his 20th year at this point. And yeah, I think they would absolutely benefit from a real CEO at this point. But it'll never happen. Anyways, this doesn't instantly undo the whole Delaware ruling. It just gives Elon some evidence that he can point to say that clearly the shareholders want him to have all of that money. The court still has to evaluate that and decide if they're going to change their ruling, which has the potential to be very funny. But nothing cool ever actually happens, so he'll probably get the money. Also, the pay package wasn't the only thing that was up for a vote. Shareholders also approved a proposal to move Tesla's corporate registration to Texas, a reaction to what Mr. Musk and the board perceived as unfair treatment by Delaware courts. The move will have no effect on the Delaware case. They rejected a measure proposed by shareholders that called for Tesla not to interfere with workers trying to organize a union and to bargain in good faith if they do. No, no, no. Mr. Musk has often expressed hostility towards organized labor. In Sweden, Tesla has refused to negotiate with mechanics who work for the company and have been on strike for nearly 6 months. I didn't realize that was still going. But I love just like let's vote on whether we're ever going to treat workers trying to unionize respectfully. No, as company policy, we will bust.
In fact,
busting makes me feel good.
Things are probably going to get a lot worse now that the company is centered in Texas.
Yeah.
Now, it's easy to point to Tesla shareholders and say that clearly all these people are members of a cult whose leader isn't even that charismatic. But an interesting aspect of this vote is that there's a decent chance you may have unwittingly voted to give Elon Musk his pay raise.
How could you?
I'm just so disappointed.
I'm so betrayed.
As 404 Media points out, on Friday, if you have any investments whatsoever, you very well may have voted to give Elon Musk a gigantic $56 billion pay package as the CEO of Tesla. You probably did this without even knowing it. This happened because of the incredible rise of passive investing, or index fund investing, which has become one of the most popular ways of investing money in the stock market. If you are privileged enough to have a 401k, an IRA, or any sort of investment account, it is likely that the investments inside it are held in exchange-traded funds, ETFs, index funds, or mutual funds that buy shares of a large swath of the stock market.
When people buy passive investment vehicles, they are giving their money to Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, or another investment giant, which then buys shares in a big swath of companies. Many of the most popular funds contain lots of Tesla stock because Tesla is one of the largest companies in the world. Tesla stock makes up 1.11% of VOO, a Vanguard ETF that mirrors the S&P 500. It is the 13th largest holding in that fund. VTI, Vanguard's total stock market ETF, contains 3,663 companies. Tesla is the 13th largest holding in VTI, also making up 0.95% of the entire fund. Tesla also makes up a significant portion of various retirement target date funds and similar products across different investment firms.
So yeah, even if you don't own any shares of Tesla, if you're invested in ETFs or index funds, there's a good chance that you do own some Tesla, but minus the ability to actually vote. And my leftover Warner Brothers retirement plan that is just sitting there probably has some of this in it.
Probably.
Yeah.
And also just like a ton of pension funds. Although it sounds like most of the no votes came specifically from pension funds.
Good. Instead, whoever runs those funds do all that on your behalf. And in the case of Vanguard, who owns 7% of the company, second only to Musk himself, they voted yes on the pay package after initially saying they'd vote no. It's not like that 7% would have swung the vote, but hey, very cool.
Yeah, thank you, Vanguard.
Yeah. Anyways, Tesla's big vote occurred right before Tesla's big annual shareholder meeting, which kicked off with some real weapons-grade cringe from the cringeler himself. Here you go. But in case you're wondering, what the fuck is that weirdo doing now? Allow this verified Musk disciple to explain. He's doing an X with his body, you stuck-up, self-righteous dumbass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very cool.
That's what he was doing. He was doing an X with his body. He explains at a Tesla event, an event for a different company.
Well, yeah, it's the only legal way he can do it.
I guess so.
Yeah, maybe. That moment, of course, instantly became meme fodder, with some of the most popular edits strapping Elon to various torture devices.
Yeah, putting him on the big wheel where you throw the knives at it.
Putting Elon in the contraption.
But yeah, he got put in a lot of contraptions. It's great meme fodder.
It is.
But back to that shareholder meeting. So now that Elon's shareholders have pledged total submission to him, he of course could not pass up a perfect opportunity to do what he does best. Make some ridiculous promises, specifically about that Tesla robot. Here's Gizmodo. It's, your companion. It can be at your house. It can sort of babysit your kids. It could teach them, be a teacher. It can do factory stuff, Musk said while describing the robot on Thursday. Musk went on to say Optimus would be like having your own personal robot from the Star Wars franchise. Like, who doesn't want a C-3PO, but a C-3PO plus R2-D2 plus, plus. It would be pretty awesome. I think everyone in the world is going to walk away. Like, literally everyone.
God,
Musk continued.
Shut the fuck up. It's gonna... Any dream you have, it'll make it come true. Yes, trust this machine with your children. Not only will it not crush their little baby skulls, it'll teach them. Teach them things they wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Homeschooling just got so much easier. Now you got time for you.
This is so...
Let the robot do the rest. Fucking hell.
Everything else aside, this is just a bleak dystopian thing because he wants people to work while the robot raises their kids.
Yeah.
We got a big problem with childcare in this country, and I'm about to solve it.
Also, now you can have more babies, more white babies. And you don't have to worry about all of the, the time and money that's going to go into watching those kids while you work. The robot will do the watching, and you do the baby growing.
I wouldn't put it past Elon Musk to turn this robot into whatever specific minority you want it to be so that you can bully it around.
This robot will do whatever you ask it to do, even if you say the N-word.
It's going to save humanity, that's why. Anyways, they also list out various other promises that Elon made about his robot. I think we've got kind of like one major hardware revision, which should be done by end of this year or early next. And then we'll move into a limited production next year of Optimus. Limited production for use in our factory. My prediction is next year we'll have over 1,000, maybe a few thousand Optimus robots working at Tesla. The degree of autonomy will be radically better. You'll just literally be able to talk to it and say, please do this task, or I'm going to show you something. Now do that thing that I'm showing you. Optimus will get to the point where it can watch a video of something like a person and then learn just by looking at that video and do the task. I'm confident of the prediction that there will be more, like the ratio of humanoid robots to humans will be greater than 1 to 1. So there'll be, more than 10 billion humanoid robots in the world. Probably 20 or more.
Oh.
And Tesla is going to be by far the leader in that. It will also be able to play the piano. So it's really like, wow. I don't feel good about this at all, even though it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, no, there's not gonna be 20 billion fucking robots. Are you insane?
All I can picture is like him stirring up this false confidence in a Tesla investor who I can only picture drooling from the mouth and hitting themselves over the head with a hammer going,
yeah,
20 billion robots times thousands of dollars equals I'm gonna be rich forever.
Yeah. Those people can't be helped, though.
And those people vote.
It's hopeless for them. They vote, and they vote.
They vote for Elon Musk's pay package, and they're going to vote for everything in every election, including all the down ballot stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing with here. Clonk.
Yeah, he also at one point claimed that the Optimus robot will raise Tesla's market cap to $25 trillion.
That's what I'm saying.
He literally said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just for context, Apple's current market cap is less than $4 trillion. So this is like 6 times what Apple's market cap is after 40-something years of being in operation. Tesla is going to be the biggest company the world has ever seen.
Elliot, I'm sorry, but you're not doing the math here, because if you take Elon at his word, which everyone always does and never looks any further, 20 billion of these robots times however much he's going to charge for them, which, by the way, he can charge whatever he wants because you're going to need one of these robots.
Yeah, I don't care how poor you are, you're buying a damn robot.
Yeah, so 20 billion of these? Like, yeah, you want to get rich? You better start buying this stock now, baby. Clonk, clonk.
You're going to want to buy the stock.
It's so dumb.
The only regret you're going to have is that you didn't buy more of it.
The thing is that you're going to need one because when he flips the switch and all these robots start fighting each other, you're not going to be the only family on the block without a self-defense robot.
That's right.
Because then the other robots will come in and take everything you own.
Mm-hmm.
But while Elon would have you believe that robots that you can trust to operate a stove and babysit your children are right around the corner.
Any day now.
Back here in reality, we've got news like this from the LA Times. A Tesla driver using the vehicle's self-driving mode crashed into a police car Thursday morning in Fullerton, almost hitting an officer who was investigating another crash, according to authorities. A Fullerton Police Department officer was investigating a fatal crash around 12:04 a.m. near Orangethorpe and Courtney Avenue, according to a department news release. The officer was managing traffic at the time, and emergency flares had been placed on the road. The officer was standing outside his patrol vehicle with its emergency lights on and managed to jump out of the way before the driver of a blue Tesla crashed into his car, authorities said. A police dispatcher who was riding in the patrol vehicle also moved out of the way of the crash. The Tesla driver admitted he was operating the vehicle in self-driving mode while using his cell phone, police said. He stayed at the scene and cooperated with the investigation.
So yeah, you just take that technology and put it in a humanoid robot with arms and legs and fingers and toes, and you say, hey, watch my kids while me and the wife go have date night.
Yep.
And yeah, there's food in the cupboard. Just fire up that stove and get cooking if the kid gets hungry.
Yeah.
And maybe play some of that piano music you got. A couple Scott Joplin bangers.
Mr. Elliot! Mr. Elliot! Sean has been crying.
Why is that